Hi, on this video, I want to talk about how do you find your authentic self? How do you show up as your authentic self? It's something that is very much talked about, being authentic. And maybe you are quite clear about what that is for you and what that means for you, and you can do that. But I have a feeling that there are some people out there that are like, well, how can I show up as anybody else? What does that mean? So that's what I wanted to cover on this video, because this is something that I've tapped into really very recently. So I wanted to share that with you. Hi, I'm Lucy. I help female business builders to expand their team and then scale their business online. So it was I'm going to go back to the authentic self that I was, and I called myself many years ago. Very shy. I was a shy person. I had been all the way through school, and through then going into dance. This was something I thought about. I then went into dance. I'd started dancing when I was 7 years old because of a friend wanting someone to join her. And I just lived down the road, and our parents got together and said, would you like to go? So I said, yes, that would be fine. And off we went to dance school together. And that was an absolute turning point in my life, because that then became my career. So she dropped out, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years after that. And I went on to go to dance college and then to dance for over 10 years professionally. So when I look at it, shy person, right? And then I was on stage and I was dancing in front of hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. But the way that I felt I could do that was by almost becoming somebody else. So I'd be makeup on, there would be the costume, there would be the music would be playing, there would be the scene would be set behind, and we would be on stage and we would be dancing. And so maybe that wasn't really then my authentic self, right? So I was kind of looking back at that and evaluating, was that the authentic self, or that was that me trying to show up as somebody else? Because they're the two different sides of it. If we put that face on, and the mask that we are trying to be this super successful person and everything in our life is absolutely wonderful and everything's going and moving in the right direction, and we're going on these fabulous holidays and we've got these fabulous vehicles and houses and relationships, and actually we haven't, although we might be on the way to gaining those things. What is that? Is that somebody who's projecting themselves forwards, or is that someone who's being inauthentic? So I'm asking you to kind of evaluate that for yourself, how you're showing up and how you feel. Now, this is, I think, and I totally believe this is the key, is how do you feel about how you show up? How are you feeling inside? And it's not at I think this is the right way to do it. It's just like, well, it feels a bit not quite right, the way that I'm showing up online. And whether that is with the mask of, I'm super, super successful when actually I've only just got started, or if it is you're just going out there and you're sending loads and loads and loads of messages, join me, join me, join me, I'm getting products in, do you want to buy some? And if it's that kind of person, does that feel good for you? Check in with yourself. Does that, whoever's told you to do that kind of way of working, does that feel, when you think about it, does it feel good? Do you think, yeah, I'm doing the best and it's great and I love doing this because I'm sharing everything? Or does it feel a bit, I don't really want to work like that. I'd rather just show up as me and then people come to me and ask me what I'm doing. Would that feel better to you? So there are two ways of looking at this. And the thing that I found most useful really, really recently, and if you followed me for a while, you'll know that I'm into sort of the spiritual side of things, spiritual world, the universe, angels, that sort of thing. And so I'm just about to start on a 21-day guide adventure. It is not being run by me. I'm just going to be a participant. But this lady, Sonia I can't remember her name. Sonia Choquette, I think her name is. And excuse me if I pronounce that incorrectly. I'll pop her name below the video. So if you want to have a listen in, then you can. Then she did this hour and probably an hour and a half free workshop. And we were tapping into our spirit. So when you say, oh, it really lifted my spirits, right? You do that. Something happens or somebody talks to me and you say, oh, thank you so much. You really lifted my spirit. And that's what she was talking about. She didn't explain it like that, but that's how I read it. And that's how I go, well, that's how you feel, who you authentically are. It's that person that feels really good, right? But how do you get there? If you're feeling a bit bleh, if you're feeling a bit low, how do you get to that place of feeling uplifted, feeling wonderful in yourself, feeling your complete authentic self? How do you get there? And she, again, explained it absolutely brilliantly. And she talked about the ego being like, it's very useful to have your ego, but your ego is not the leader of you. Your ego is the servant of you. So your ego, if you imagine your ego being like a dog, a barking dog, trying to get attention, very loud. And we often listen to that, right? So it's like, do this, do that, don't be like this, don't show up, don't be vulnerable, keep yourself. They want to keep you safe. They're a guard dog. Think of them as a guard dog. So she said, if you could name your dog, what would you name your dog? And what type of dog is it? So I challenge you to think, well, if my ego is a dog, what kind of dog and what name would I give him or her? So think about that. And then the other thing she said, which was wonderful, she said, if you've got a question that you would love to know the answer to, it's like one of those questions, and you ask that question and you ask the ego, your dog. Mine's called Stanley the dog. Anyway, so I would ask Stanley to answer this question for me. Well, what would Stanley say? Stanley would say this, 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 and this, and it all sounds a bit tedious and a bit boring and a bit do this, do that. It's not really making me feel uplifted, not making me feel really good. But she said, now tap into your spirit. And she gave us an exercise, which I'm not going to go into, but she gave us an exercise where we could get into this lovely space and immediately get into a sort of a meditative space. And she said, right, this is where you'll find your spirit. And she said, what's your spirit called? And so we all named our spirit. And so then once you know who your spirit is, then you go, okay, now I'm going to ask my spirit what he or she has as an answer to this question that I've got. And the answer is so different. And I felt so different when I was answering it from spirit, from my authentic self. Now, this is what I'm getting to. So you might think I've gone a bit cuckoo, but this is what I'm getting to. I answered that question from Stanley, the ego, and from Jasmine, who is my spirit. And the way that I felt that she answered it was who I truly am, my authentic self. And if I could explain what that is, who she is, who Jasmine is, she is joyful, she's fun, she's smiling, she's laughing, she's dancing, she's listening to music. And even as I'm saying it, I feel lit up inside because that's me. And it related to me so clearly and made me understand that's how I need to be showing up. I need to be showing up as Jasmine, my spirit, because that is where I can authentically give to you, to my audience, and feel my best and give my best. So my question to you is, are you going to do this? Tap into your ego, find out who your barking dog is, what he's called, what make of dog is he, what breed, and then tap into this gorgeous feeling of how would you describe your spirit? How would you describe that? And then give your spirit a name. And then whenever you've got that question, if ever you're unsure about something, how to show up, what decision to make, ask the dog what he thinks or she thinks, and then ask the spirit what your spirit thinks. And you will get probably a very different answer from one and the other. Now, as I say, I will put the lady's name because I'm sure I've pronounced it terribly below. And the other thing is, if you want to find out and work in a way that you are coming online authentically, you're using social media and being that person, along with all I've just shared with you now as to how I feel it is. But if you think, well, maybe there's a bit more to that, which there is a lot more to how to show up in the right way, in a good and effective way, then there's a link just above my thank you video. It's a free resource that you can go on to and have a video series come through. It's like a recruiting video series, but more importantly, along with that is attached a book. It's like an ebook. And that was how I kind of started along this journey of coming online and being authentic and being that person that people want to connect with online. And so that book is not free. You need to pay for that. So if you're serious, if you are a leader who's wanting to move up in your business and is wanting to learn the extra things about coming online and doing that in a really good and powerful way, then it's a very low cost, but it's very high value. So I encourage you to do that. I'm going to wish you an absolutely awesome day. I hope you got value from this. Let me know below. Love to hear from you. You take care. Bye for now.